I'm getting a bit nervous now, I have to say. This really does not feel safe. Well, hello from the state of Sonora in northern Mexico, and I don't know about you, but when I think about Mexico I think about scenes just like this. Bit of desert, a few cacti at the side of the road. It really is an incredible and a beautiful part of the world. Today we're taking a ride on a mystery airline, and you know me, I like my mystery airlines, and there's one right here in the state of Sonora that we're going to be trying today. They're an airline called Aero, and information about them on the web is pretty hard to find, I have to say, and booking them was even harder. I mean, I'll explain more about that later on. Come along with me, let's head down to the airport at Ciudad Obregón, which is about an hour's drive from here, and let's take a ride on Aero from the land of sombrero. Let's go. Now, booking a ride on Aero was not an easy experience. Their website, well, let's just say it's a little bit crap, really. Although theoretically you can book flights on their website, it actually is easier said than done, because I got all the way through the booking process and then it wouldn't take any foreign credit card. So I ended up paying by PayPal. Brilliant. But then I didn't get a confirmation email. The website crashed just as I clicked on the submit button. The money went straight out of my PayPal, and yeah, that was it. All I knew was that they'd taken the money and I'd got no idea if I was going to get a flight or not. So I thought I'd drop them an email, and it bounced back. I decided to give them a phone call, but the number was not in service. So late last night I found somebody who'd had some luck get in touch with them via WhatsApp, and I effectively sent them a WhatsApp message saying, what's going on, is my flight tomorrow leaving or not? And a few hours later I got a very shouty message back from somebody in Spanish, and they literally sent me a PDF document via WhatsApp of my plane ticket for today. And then the funniest part is that they sent me another message saying, just for your information, here's the phone number of the check-in agent, so you can give her a ring and let her know when you get to the airport. That's the first time that has ever happened to me. Okay, there is a pickup truck at the side of me. I don't know whether you saw that. There's a pickup truck at the side of me, and he was following me, and he would basically look like a load of camo guys, and they'd got like guns and stuff. I'm a little bit nervous now. I've got half an hour till I get to the airport. It's basically ended up in a little town, and it's a little bit dodgy, hence why my camera is very low down so that people don't see me. Yeah, I'm getting a bit nervous now, I have to say. And relax. A few more minutes, we'll be at the airport now. All this adventure already, we've not even got on the plane yet. Hey, right, here we are then, safely back at the airport at Ciudad Obregón, ready to get our flight with Aero. Whew, see if we get any more excitement today. Buenos días. Hi.
¿Qué aerolínea va?
Aerolínea Aero.
¿Aeroméxico?
No, Aero.
Ya. Guerrero.
Aero Servicio
Guerrero.
Sí.
The terminal at Ciudad Obregón Airport is pretty tiny, with just a couple of restaurants and the resident terminal cat to keep you company. Still not knowing what type of plane I'd be on today, I headed to the check-in desk.
Venta? Venta.
Van 5 nada más.
Ah, sí.
Puede agarrar.
All Venta. Todo Venta, sí.
So at least we knew it was a small plane then.
No trae geles, pastas, ¿no?
No.
Su identificación.
Muchas gracias.
Y a las
Thank you.
puras 12 en la sala, al fondo a la izquierda, allá
Okay.
abajo.
All right. Gracias. Thank you. So I haven't got a boarding pass. He just sort of sent me down to the gate. So also I still don't have a Scooby-Doo what sort of aircraft we're flying on today. I don't know what they actually have in their fleet. Their website doesn't seem to be very much help. Hola.
Once you're through security, there's even less here than there is at landside at this airport. There's just a few seats while you wait for your plane.
Well, that was nice and easy, so we're through to airside. They didn't need to see boarding passes or anything, they just looked at my ID and checked off my name off the list, so all good. So we're airside now, waiting for the plane. I don't know what plane it is, not sure.
I didn't have too long to wait to find out, because a few moments later this Cessna Caravan pulled on to stand right in front of the terminal. I don't know how old this aircraft is, because there's basically zero information on it on the internet, apart from the fact that it's only crashed once so far in its life, when it ran off the runway in Cabo a few years ago and suffered substantial damage.
Right, so planes here. A little bit of research. This aircraft crashed a few years ago at the airport we're going to today in Los Cabos, but hey, lightning doesn't strike twice, right? I think it's the only Caravan they've got these days, because again they had another one that crashed into hills not far from here a few years ago as well, so yeah. So it's now half an hour after we were supposed to have left and we're still sitting here on the ground. Who knows what's going on. The pilot got out and went and had a cup of coffee, and I've not seen him again since, so who knows.
Another half an hour went past before finally somebody turned up to board us for the flight.
Gracias, thank you. Hola, señor.
Hola.
Gracias.
Adelante.
So here we were then on the mysterious yet somehow accident-prone Aero Guerrero for a hop across the Gulf of California to La Paz. There was no safety briefing or anything, we just sort of sat down and fired up the engines for the flight. The intercom system didn't seem to be working today, so the pilot used a microphone and a speaker to speak to air traffic control, the first time I've ever seen this happen on a commercial flight. Our first leg today then took us across the Gulf of California on this rather wavy path, cruising anywhere between 11 and 12,000 feet depending on whether the pilot was paying attention or not. Flight time was a nail-biting 1 hour and 22 minutes.
So they're finally airborne from Obregon on the Cessna Caravan, as it turned out, with Aero Guerrero, but the pilot finished his nap anyway, whatever he was doing, his cup of coffee or whatever, and now we're airborne heading down towards La Paz on the Baja Peninsula. It's about an hour and a half's flight from here in Obregon. It's quite funny, the pilot doesn't actually have a headset, he's just talking through the microphone, but that's brilliant because it means we get to listen to air traffic control, although he's just putting in some AirPods and turned some music on his phone, so yeah. So I don't know what he's listening to on Spotify, but hope it's exciting.
It soon became apparent that this flight was being completely hand-flown, which is fine as long as you keep an eye on where you're going.
So we keep straying off course. There's basically, you can see on the GPS display that he's following, we keep straying sort of off course by a few miles, and then every now and then he sort of realises and throws the aircraft into a bank to get us back on track.
At this point, the direction indicator on the right hand side appeared to have turned into somewhat of a random number generator. It's important to note that the pilot does have a separate one on his side, but it still left me wondering what else was going on under the hood of this aircraft.
He's now filling out some paperwork, and I don't think he's noticed that we've strayed about 40 degrees off course because he's too busy looking down. very rarely do I ever say this, but this really does not feel safe. I'm actually quite worried, to be honest.
The wavy track continued, and at one point we lost around 700 feet in a gradual descent before we started to climb back to our original altitude. The section over the water seemed to take forever until we finally got sight of land on the other side of the gulf.
Right, on the ground at La Paz. Finally, that wasn't fun at all. We've got a short stop here, I think, and then we continue down to San Jose, Los Cabos International.
Perhaps this would be a good time to say thank you to Safety Wing, who provided my travel insurance on this trip. They offer great, flexible plans for digital nomads that you can just turn on and off when you need them. They offer full COVID-19 cover too, as well as this great travel map to help you plan with all the restrictions still in place. Check them out at the link in the description below. All too soon, the pilot started up the engine again and we started on our way down to Los Cabos.
Right, here we go again.
At this point, the aircraft started making some rather strange noises.
Autorizado para despegar de la 36, viento 350 grados 10 knots, giro por derecha, notifique 15 millas.
So here we go then, once again taking to the skies in this aircraft, and I couldn't wait to get off at the other end. The next leg then took us down to Cabo, cruising at an altitude of around about 728 or something thousand feet. Flight time was 27 minutes. Being over land now, the pilot finally had got a phone signal, so he could at least keep in touch with people via WhatsApp.
Right, so airborne then for the last leg of this trip down to Los Cabos from La Paz. Yeah, Can't wait to get on the ground in Los Cabos, to be completely honest with you. I'll have a stiff drink when we get there. This must be why the Mexicans invented tequila.
The scenery on this leg of the flight was absolutely stunning, which meant we got to see the mountains really close up. I'm not entirely sure if that was a good thing, but at least I got some good photos and video out of it. Fairly soon we were starting our red line descent down into the town of Cabo San Lucas on the southern tip of Baja California. My ride on Aero Guerrero cost me £65.88, or around about $91 for a flight of 306 miles, giving a cost per mile of 22 pence per mile. It was great to be back on terra firma after an experience I probably don't want to repeat. I know I'm only a private pilot and not an instructor, so I'm not really in a position to judge people's flying, and to be honest, it kind of feels wrong to be doing so, but from a passenger perspective, this really did not feel particularly safe, what with the climbs, descents and banking left and right, not to mention the pilot who seemed to be more interested in his phone than flying the plane. Even a non-pilot passenger would probably get unnerved by that, but I have to say that ultimately we did end up landing with the only damage being to my nerves, so I guess there is that.
Gracias, thank you.
I'd like to say a big thanks to my Patreons for your awesome support. You can join them to get access to my WhatsApp group, as well as my weekly Thirsty Thursday Zoom call every Thursday night at the link on the screen now.
Well, here we are then at Aeropuerto Internacional de Los Cabos. Los Cabos International Airport, right on the southern tip of Baja California, which is the long sticky out bit down the left hand side of Mexico as you look on the map. And yeah, that was an experience not to be repeated, wasn't it? Not very often I will say that I will not recommend an airline to fly on, but with Aero Guerrero from the land of sombreros, I would have to say give it a big fat nada. But let me know what your thoughts were down in the comments below. But in the meantime, I mean, I'm off to get a stiff drink and head back to Mexico City. So thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now. Tequila.
Tequila, shot.
Yeah, double please.